The discussion is how can financial markets contribute to tenfold growth, and we feel that there's a lot of untapped potential, and that is entirely why we're here. So Bank of Uganda felt that we need to raise the profile of market development, and that's why they created a department.
Amazing. So in terms of the development of the markets, where do you see, have we achieved something in as far as financial markets penetration is concerned? Because when you look at one of the key drawbacks of these markets is that there's very little information out there about this. You find that there's just a certain few people who know about investing in fixed incomes and shares or equity markets, and that limits our growth. We want to grow to the point of maybe the New York Stock Exchange and so on. But where do you see us from the time we started to today? What have we achieved?
Okay, that's a very relevant question. So, the markets really started after the liberalization of the current and capital accounts in the mid-90s. We had the capital markets being set up. We had the stock exchange being set up. That was in the late 90s. And then we also we are trading trading foreign exchange in the interbank market. We started issuing securities, bonds in 2004. So we have observed a pickup in activity. That's as a matter of fact, right? There are still teething problems, especially in certain segments of the market. For example, in the retail group, retail investors are you and I.
Yes.
The individuals, the people who they call Mufuna Mpola, so those currently hold about 3% of total outstanding government securities, which is still very small.
3%?
3% of government securities. I'm not going to talk too much about what's happening at the exchange because that's another segment of the financial markets, equities market. So I won't focus on the fixed income market side, which is precisely the space in which we play. But the markets, I would like to compare Uganda's market to peers in the region, because that sort of gives it context, specifically on the fixed income side. And there's an index called the Africa Financial Market Index, which started in 2016, and it rates about 26 African countries, which hold a total of 80% of the GDP of Africa. So in 2016, when this index commenced, Uganda's position was number 10. We're number 10 out of the 26 countries, right? As we speak, we're number 4. That goes to show you the level of advancement that we've made, baby steps. If I'm talking about liquidity in the government securities market, by liquidity, I mean the ease in which you can buy and sell the securities. And we measure it based on turnover, okay? How many times do instruments change hands in a year? Okay, so you buy an instrument and you're able to sell it. So that is the liquidity. So the liquidity in about 2019, that was before we carried out reforms to the primary dealership system, was about 54%, okay? So that essentially means that the total outstanding securities, only half of them are traded during the year.
That's on the primary or secondary market?
That is on the secondary market.
On the secondary market.
Yes.
So if they're issued 100%, then we have only half of that.
Half of that was traded.
Was traded on the secondary market.
Yes. Wow. That was in 2014.
Yes.
I mean, in 2019. Now, we carried out reforms to the primary dealership system in 2020. And that shot up significantly, okay? The first year after the reforms, it moved up to 120%.
Wow.
And this year, we're likely to record 200%. Wow. Now, this 200% is without the securities that are held by NSSF and by the pension funds, because these hold to maturity, right? Yeah. We also need to have that discussion with our colleagues in the pension sector space, so that we can have some of those instruments come into market. But just to give this context, South Africa, which is the most liquid market in the region, turns over about 1,400%. Wow. That means that an instrument will change hands 14 times in a year. I will buy it, and I will sell it to you, sell it to the next one, 14 other people, right? For us here, it's only two times. People. But again, within context, Uganda is the most liquid market in the region, second to South Africa, and probably fourth in Africa, behind South Africa, Nigeria, and Mauritius, right? We're more liquid than all the other markets in the region on the fixed income side. But having said that, this is like some people say it, comparing dwarfs. There's much more that can be done. When you talk about products, okay? Unfortunately, we only have one product called treasury securities. This is government securities. We have not tapped into all the other products, which, if you give me an opportunity, I can explain. And that is partly the reason why we're now focusing on this area. Because we're saying we've been issuing instruments for a long time, but how come we have not been able to develop other instruments? That is more or less a state of where we are.
This sounds too good to be true, honestly. When you say we are taking the 4th place out of the 16 countries that are tracked by this index, it shows a lot of progress. But like you said, there's still room for more growth, and we still have, the sky is the limit to go. But then talking about products, in the fixed incomes, to my understanding and to most of the viewers, I see 2 products, the treasury bonds and the treasury bills. What could be some of the other products that you think can stem from these 2?
That's very good. Actually, you can see 2 products, but it's more or less one. It's one issuer, which is the government. Sure. The difference is treasury bills are short term, 91 days or 3 months up to 1 year, and anything after that are bonds. Yep. Now, there's several other products that have just not been tapped into, because there's not been a focus on developing that space, and that's where we come from. I can give you an example. The diaspora community, the Ugandans living there in the diaspora, currently remit about 1.3 billion US dollars. That is probably one of the top 2 export earnings, foreign exchange earnings for the country. Yeah, remittances. And 80% of these remittances are sent for consumption purposes, sending some money home for Jaja, to support your sibling going to school, those kind of things. 80%, not investment. Not investment. Yeah. And the reason is that we have not developed an investment product for them. Okay, of course, there's some other things like there's no infrastructure because people are investing remotely. They need some technology to be able to access the markets, etc. But that is a product that needs to be tapped into, okay? Because we believe that if you developed a diaspora bond and addressed the small nitty-gritty issues like KYC, like the platform through which these people are going to submit their investments, that 1.3 can grow to 5 billion in a space of 2-3 years. Yeah. Because these guys already have access to cheap financing in the diaspora, right? And they can be able to send this money. And fortunately, because of the nature of the diaspora community, the proceeds or the interest that they would have earned is likely to remain here for development projects, construction, farming, etc. That's just one product. Yeah. We're talking about local government bonds, okay? Local governments in your Entebbe municipality, Kampala City Council Authority, Masaka, Kabale, etc. don't need to wait for government to be able to, for the central government to give them money. They can structure instruments, right, that are self-financing. I'll give an example. For example, let's say KCCA is preparing some parking arrangement within the city. Okay, parking fees. They can issue an instrument that can be able to prepare maybe parking infrastructure, buildings, and that kind of thing. And the fees that you're going to pay for the parking will be able to pay back the instrument. So these are all modern ways. Issue as well. Kasasiro issues, exactly. So everyone would be able to pay for their rubbish.
Fund that, and then they will pay the back.
Absolutely. People are paying for absolutely. I mean, even if we talk about there are things like housing bonds. You can issue a housing bond for low-cost housing. People will be able to buy the housing bond. The proceeds will go into construction of low-cost housing, and those who are buying that low-cost housing will go back and pay the bond.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
Absolutely. I mean, the topical area of sustainability and climate bonds. There's so many investors out there who are looking to invest in sustainable bonds, ESG. Okay. If we created a green bond, maybe to support some solar lighting, maybe to support some clean water harvesting project, or something of the sort. Blue bond, to support the water cleansing process. So all these are opportunities that are out there in the fixed income market, and that can help diversify the product range and attract new money into this economy, which money is not coming in right now because the products don't exist.
Amazing. Yeah. Now, looking at this program, or rather this event that's coming up on Wednesday, the theme is providing a platform for funding the planned tenfold growth. Tell us explicitly about this tenfold growth, because the president is very passionate when he's talking about it, but some people don't quite understand what this entails. What is this tenfold growth initiative?
Okay, that's a good question. So currently, Uganda's GDP is at about 49.5 billion. And by tenfold growth, we mean that in 15 years' time, by 2040, we are targeting growing the economy to 500 billion, right? 10 times the value that it is today, right? Now, this tenfold growth is centered around the ATMs. We call it ATMs, okay? Agriculture, industrialization, tourism, mining, science, technology, and innovation, the ATMs, okay? Now, look at the sources of funding for this tenfold growth. The traditional sources of funding, revenue, export earnings, FDI, etc. Okay? We are saying that the financial markets can make a significant contribution towards funding this tenfold growth. I'll give you an example. Currently, we auction securities on bonds on a monthly basis. And every bond auction is in the region of probably 900 to 1 trillion shillings, right? And these are always oversubscribed, okay? The auction date is a Wednesday. On that Wednesday, we get the 1 trillion shillings. Government gets the money. Wow. Because we have built credibility as a country, you know, in terms of our macroeconomic management. Now, imagine that you issue...
That's every 2 weeks.
That is every 2 weeks, yes.
For the bonds, and every week for the...
Every 2 weeks for the bills, and once a month for the bonds.
Once a month for the bonds,
yes. Okay. So imagine you issued a diaspora bond, and you have sold it widely, okay? On the day that you're supposed to receive the money, you have an infusion of funds into your market, of foreign exchange, first of all, because it's coming from the diaspora. So you're in a position to build up your foreign exchange buffers, and then you will have sufficient money to be able to fund the government programs. Now, what is very interesting is that you're also diversifying your investor base. You know, because right now you have commercial banks that are investing heavily in government securities. But when you have more competition from a new category called the diaspora, you're diversifying your investor base. This means that you're reducing the concentration of commercial banks, and therefore they'll have all this excess money, which then will lead to increased private sector credit. So it is a win-win. So the banks will have to go out and lend to you and I, the ordinary people. You know, because right now they're investing a lot in. So that's just one example, okay? I'll give you another example of climate, all these climate bonds, green bonds. There are investors out there who within their portfolio, they can only invest in instruments that have certain qualifications, meet certain sustainability requirements, you know, sustainability aspects. If you issue the green bond, then you're going to target those investors, and that's going to be new money coming into your economy. We're talking about things like securitization. We already have infrastructure, okay? Infrastructure like electricity transmission lines, like the toll roads. You know, you can securitize the receivables. There's a process, of course. You create an SPV, securitize the receivables and front load them, right? And then this money can be used to construct other infrastructure. You see? So we have not leveraged the domestic resources sufficiently. There's a lot of money within the system that we need to leverage through coming out with unique products that should be able to attract investors both domestically and externally. I'll just give you one other example. There's a retail product called Okusevinga, which is designed for the bottom of the pyramid, the Mwananchi, okay? This one will facilitate people to invest up to, a minimum of 10,000 shillings using their mobile phones and their mobile money, okay? Because right now, there's no product on mobile money that enables you to invest for government. But if we, after we launch this product, it will be able to facilitate that investment. So long and short of it is, it is another source of capital for the tenfold growth. It is looking at new investment and new investment from abroad as well. It is looking at inclusion, you know, utilizing their domestic resources, and in the process we will diversify the sources of revenue to stimulate that tenfold growth.
Amazing. Yeah. We're going to take a very quick breather, and when we come back, you're going to tell us about FMDQ. The chief guest is the CEO, Mr. Bola Onadele Koko. And he started this in 2013, and there have been several milestones, which I think we should copy or learn from this particular company. You're going to tell us about it when we return. My name is Anthony. I'm with Mr. Arnold Bagubwagye, and he is acting director of the Financial Markets Development Department at Bank of Uganda. Next week on Wednesday, they have an event in conjunction with CMA, and he's going to tell us more about the chief guest, Mr. Koko. Don't touch your dial. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Smart 24, driving business.
Are you a woman entrepreneur or a woman owning a business and looking for affordable financing to scale up your business? Look no further than the Grow Loan. Grow Loan targets female entrepreneurs nationwide. Key features include a minimum loan amount of 4 million and a maximum loan amount of 200 million shillings, a maximum interest rate not exceeding 10.5% per annum, a loan repayment period not exceeding 24 months. All Grow Loan borrowers must comply with the Grow Project environmental and social standards. Special incentives are available for borrowers that are refugees or from the refugee host communities, people living with disabilities, and women entrepreneurs from the underserved or minority groups. To apply, contact any of the 6 participating financial institutions. Contact us for more information or visit our website at www.grow.go.ug. The Grow Loan is an intervention under the Grow Project, a Government of Uganda project financed by the World Bank and implemented by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development and the Private Sector Foundation Uganda. Grow, generating growth opportunities and productivity for women enterprises.
If you play a game of power,
Chelsea is rich.
I didn't lie to you. I only withheld the information.
Any minute I get, I'm going to tell Charles.
be prepared to lose it all.
I'd rather be buried alive.
Damalai makes her boldest power play.
Very dramatic.
In season 2, Monday to Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Only on Pal Magic Prime. DSTV channel 148, Go TV channel 303.
This is Jordan. When it comes to classwork, Jordan is magic. Jordan shines. Jordan makes his peers better. Jordan is a true leader. White Star Magic family, be a leader, be magic.
These days, our homes are no longer just the places we live. It's where we attend meetings, go to class, keep each other safe, and entertain ourselves. To do this smoothly, you need a reliable internet connection. Buy the MTN WakaNet router, which connects up to 32 devices and gets a free 40 GB data bundle at only 149,000 shillings. Or buy the MTN WakaNet MiFi at only 75,000 shillings and enjoy a free 15 GB bundle to stream, study, work, and play on the go. Visit any MTN service center to buy the MTN WakaNet router or MiFi and enjoy the internet that does amazing things.
Three inspired souls brought together by love are set on a life-changing journey.
This is your life, Mackenzie. This is no longer a dream.
It's just something about Mackenzie.
I'll never marry you.
Your position does not allow you to break work relationship rules.
Where choices change everything. Crossroads, weekdays at 8 p.m. on Pal Magic Prime. DSTV channel 148, Go TV channel 303.
Smart24, driving business.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. This is Financial Markets. My name is Anthony. I'm with Mr. Arnold Bagubwagye, and he's the Acting Director of Financial Markets Development at Bank of Uganda. Well, in the first segment, we've discussed quite a number of things. You have our event coming up next week, which is the Capital Markets Economic Development Forum. And this one of a kind is going to be held at Serena Hotel, and they're going to be discussing a number of things that will help them fund the tenfold program or the tenfold growth program that the government is looking at to expand our GDP in the next 15 years. Now, Mr. Arnold, when you look at this event, you have invited the CEO, Mr. Koko, of FMDQ from Nigeria. Of course, the first question is, who is this guy and why FMDQ in this particular case?
Great. So, Mr. Onadele Koko is the CEO of the FMDQ Group PLC. He was the first CEO of FMDQ Nigeria in 2013. But I'll just give you a background about how this all came about. So, following the global financial crisis, 2008, and the Eurozone crisis, 2011. The financial market participants, the dealers of the banks, had a discussion with the governor at the central bank and told him that, look, you know, the concessional funding has dried up because all these countries have just gone through recession and depression. They just went through a crisis, and therefore everyone was inward looking, right? Therefore, the sources of financing that were supporting the economy were drying up, and therefore there was a need for them to explore the domestic resources, right? Now, the issue was that all of them had day jobs, okay? The central bank were busy with their usual agenda of monetary policy and financial system regulation and financial stability. The treasurers of the banks are trading on a daily basis. Everyone plays their role. The Capital Markets Authority are regulators, the brokers are intermediaries, etc. There was nobody focused on market development. Because market development is a lot of work. You know, you're talking about developing the right regulatory environment, the right infrastructure, capacity, innovation, products, etc. And it's a full-time job. So someone had to do it. So Koko was brought on because he had been in one of the banks, and there was a committee that was created. They had a discussion, they had a debate, okay, prolonged debate, and said, look, how do we unlock the opportunities in the financial markets, specifically the fixed income market, right? So the long and short of it is that they agreed to create this entity called FMDQ, okay? And FMDQ has a stake. The central bank has the biggest shareholding, as well as other market players. It is open. So as a result of that, since 2013, you know, they've been able to unlock various products, you know, infrastructure bonds, local government bonds, sukuk, you know, the Islamic financing instrument. They've championed sustainability, you know, through taking lead in the Lagos Sustainability Financial Center, as well as sustainability products, green bonds, blue bonds, that kind of thing. So they have really, because there's this focused entity on market development, that's how FMDQ has gained its prominence. In addition to that, risk management is very important in financial markets, you know, because markets go up and down. So they've also developed the derivatives market. You know, they have a number of derivatives products which are which have helped de-risk some of these instruments. And the existence of these derivatives helps strengthen the confidence of investors. You know, that they have ways of protecting themselves against risk of price fluctuations. So that is the success story. Okay, so we thought that, look, someone has done it in Nigeria. Before we identified FMDQ, we had done a lot of benchmarking. You know, looked at different markets and how they've been structured, etc. So we felt that now that the country is discussing the tenfold growth, and we're looking at how financial markets can contribute to this growth, someone who has done it before can come and share their experiences. And that is how we've been able to invite Mr. Onatele for the event on Wednesday. So we are hoping that the key stakeholders who are coming will listen in to the Nigerian experience and borrow a leaf, and maybe it will guide the way that we leverage the markets here to fund the growth.
You found it so profound that he comes physically, because I know he could have done it online through Zoom, physical. Yes. Why did you find it so important for him to touch base with these stakeholders?
Yeah, that's very good. Actually, at the time that we were thinking about inviting him, of course, all his ideas of Zoom and etc. were mooted. But we felt that this is a very topical area, right? And we all know about online meetings and Zoom. You may not get as much attention, and as much focused discussion as you would in a physical engagement.
That's right.
So he's here from Monday to Thursday, right? So the main event is on Wednesday. However, between Monday and Wednesday, he's scheduled to meet different key stakeholders who may have unique questions, unique engagements. The Ministry of Finance, the Bank of Uganda, the treasurers of the commercial banks. So that is why a physical engagement is important, because this is a prolonged period of time, and we are very grateful to him because he has come, just to meet sister country Uganda, and just to support us. We're not paying him, but he's very passionate about markets. But also looking at it from a Pan-African perspective, it's also not good for you to grow on your own. It's also good to help a brother to rise up, because at the end of the day, it's a win-win for all of us.
The African spirit.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's amazing. You talked about risk management, and you talked about the derivatives. And amongst the different products that we have that you think we should have, the local government bonds, green bonds, blue bonds, why is it important to tailor these to a particular cause? For example, the green bonds are tailored to climate change causes, and then the local government bonds tailored to local government. Why is it important to derive these bonds and not just have a basic bond that we are having currently, the way they are running? Why is that very critical?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So when you profile investors, investors are of different categories. You have investors who are very ethical, investors who can only invest in Sharia compliant instruments. You have unique investors like the diaspora community. So you have investors who are risk averse and those who can take risks. So you must be able to structure a product that can be able to meet the needs of the unique investors. For example, we already have the traditional bonds that we issue at the moment. The diaspora community, Ugandan diaspora, are unique. If you look at the diaspora who are in Europe and in US, many of them moved there a long time ago, during the times of political persecution, in the olden days of Uganda, as you know. So many of them still have that that perspective of how.
I see so many Black Americans with.
That perspective of how the country is run, etc. Now, but they still have family here. So if you attract them to an ordinary security, they may not be as interested. But if you told them we're issuing an infrastructure bond and the proceeds are going towards construction of a hospital in Masaka, this guy in the US knows that he has family in Masaka. It would appeal to him that, I'm actually investing in improving my family back home. The Muslim community are very strict about the way that they invest. They must invest in Sharia compliant instruments. So, and there's a lot of money in the GCC countries, by the way. Just to give you an example, I'm sure you've been seeing the trend, in Qatar hosting the World Cup, they spend so much money, Live Golf in Dubai, Formula One. There's a lot of money that has accumulated as a result of several years of exploring the oil proceeds. But this money can only go into Sharia compliant instruments. So in order for you to attract that money, then you need to be able to design a product that suits their requirement. So that goes to, and then Oxevinga, the retail instrument, Currently, the minimum investment is 100,000. The local guy doesn't have that 100,000, but he may save 5,000 shillings per day, 10 shillings. Yeah. Then we're also making it convenient so that he can use his mobile phone and mobile money. You know that every day I can have an instruction that 10,000 shillings can go into this bond. Okay, so you need to customize this product for the unique interests of the people. That's why we have to diversify the product range.
That's amazing. Talk about retail investors. One of the things that I personally get hurt is that we have so many institutional investors who are doing very good, but they don't spread the word, or they don't tell people that, hey, this is what we do, this is what we do with your money. I know NSSF tries, but they don't really focus so much on educating people that they can actually themselves also invest, you know, and go direct into the market. So I want us to look at how our market is structured, from the primary market to the secondary market, from the competitive bidding to the non-competitive bidding, and the dealership, you know. And I want our viewers at least to pick away from this show an idea or two how they can be able to tap into the current products, even before we look at the new ones, so that we get them interested in the conversation.
Yeah, so I'm always sharing with whoever I meet, you know, groups, Rotary groups, you know, different schools, etc., about the opportunities that government securities provide. And I'll tell you that the current environment that we're in, government securities are arguably the best investment you can have for taking no risk at all.
Yeah, yeah.
So what is the biggest risk with investing in securities? The biggest risk is inflation, that your earnings are going to be eaten away by inflation. Fortunately, we've managed to contain inflation. We have a very good record, Bank of Uganda, and government in general, you know, in terms of macroeconomic stability. Now, when you have certainty that inflation is really going to be stable, and you're earning a return of 15%, as is right now on the 20-year bond, that gives you a net of 12%, because inflation is at about 3-4%. So maybe you get a net of about 10 to 12% per year for doing absolutely nothing. Okay? What I mean is that you invest your money and relax, and your interest will come in. You don't even have to claim your interest, right? And I'm always arguing that, look, if you profile different investment categories, and you look at 10% net on securities versus other categories which come with risk, then you realize that maybe you need to put some of your money in government securities. Now, how does it happen? First of all, the minimum investment amount right now is 100,000 shillings. Yeah. When we move to Okusevinga, then we'll be able to cut it down to 10,000 shillings.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Right now, you need to open up a CSD account with any bank. A CSD account, ladies and gentlemen, is an account that just holds your securities. It is not a cash account, so you don't pay any money for it. Okay, you fill out the form, open the account. And then when you're ready to invest, it's a minimum of 100,000 shillings, and you invest. There's a whole pool of assets, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, and 20. You can select any of those, and your bankers will be able to guide you on which one to invest. They all have their different interest rates. Now, I also like to bring it home, you know, because there are different categories of investors who may not relate with the conversation because it still seems to be a bit sophisticated. But I give you an example of a parent who's trying to save for their child's education. If you started investing 100,000 shillings every month for your child's education, and it's growing at a rate of, for argument's sake, 10% net, of course there's a tax. You must give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And to God what belongs to God. So, if you're investing 100,000 shillings per month, as soon as your child is born, by the time they're 18, and you're rolling over the interest, you will not believe how much money it has grown to. You know, it would be a significant amount of money. That is for the person who is saving. Another example is for a retired worker. You have worked so hard for 30 years, and you've earned your retirement package from NSSF. You know, people are tempted to get into businesses which are risky, etc. Government securities give you a safe investment where you're going to earn a good return and enjoy the rest of your retirement. And there are so many success stories that you need to host here, by the way, one of these days. So there's different categories. The business community. These government securities are the best collateral for loans. You know, business community have to have land, you know, physical infrastructure to get to be able to get facilities from the bank. If they bought government securities, this loan is, you don't need to go to Ministry of Lands to do a search on the property evaluation, etc. Within 24 to 48 hours, the bank already has the value because they have access to the system, and they can be able to grant you that loan. You know, it is the highest quality collateral. They have your CSD account, absolutely. You know, so it is the best investment. I'm always encouraging everybody to do it. Open up a CSD account. It is just a 2-pager, and minimum is 100,000 shillings, and you'll be able to invest, and you'll be home and dry.
So how about the primary dealership?
Yeah.
Yes. Are there opportunities as well for the big guys who would want also to get into that?
Yeah. So we reformed the primary dealership system, and so the primary dealership essentially means there is a primary market, which is the market of first issuance. You know, for the first time, and that is at Bank of Uganda. Government want to raise money, they come to the primary market. Now, Bank of Uganda is not designed to meet everybody. Okay, Bank of Uganda is a banker to government and a banker to the commercial banks. So we can only engage through commercial banks, and that's how we selected primary dealer banks, and there are currently 8. These are like agent banks. Okay, so these banks are the ones that come and invest in the primary market. Okay, now that is the competitive section. Competitive, ladies and gentlemen, is 200 million and above.
Yep.
If you're non-competitive, then you're guaranteed allocation in the primary market. You access the primary market, but still through your bank, right? The big investors above 200 million have to compete for these instruments. These instruments are very attractive, and they're quite competitive, by the way. We have offshore players who hold between 12 to 15% of the total outstanding instruments right now. That's maybe to a tune of about $1 billion, $1 to $1.2 billion, right? So the primary market is designed for the wholesale investors, but the wholesale investors would have to buy through their primary dealer banks, because the primary dealer banks are the only ones.
So as an individual, I cannot compete in the competitive bidding, unless I have an account with the bank, right?
No. Actually, as an individual, if you have 200 million and above,
can I
your high
compete
net,
directly?
absolutely you can. You can. But you would have to acquire your instruments in the secondary market.
Yes.
Primary dealers go to the primary market. Competitive investors buy from the primary dealers in the secondary market. So the answer is yes.
Okay.
The difference is that you're competing with many others. Okay, so those who get the best price, best value are the ones who get allocated. But fortunately, the market is liquid enough and is big enough that everyone will eventually get these instruments. The retail guy, okay, myself, I don't know about you, below 200 million shillings, can access the instruments directly in the primary market through their bankers.
You might be a retail in the competitive bidding. I don't know. But the fact that all these instruments are available, and you also talked about the 200% liquidity, it shows that there is potential in the markets, right?
Yes.
And I don't know what would be your last word, maybe, for our viewers who are out there looking forward to this Wednesday event. They're going to be able to stream it live, because at least for Smart 24, we're going to be able to do it live here. But also, would there be some who will be invited physically to attend? Are there some requirements? Maybe you can brief them on that.
Thank you. Yeah. So the event on Wednesday is an invite-only event. Okay. Unfortunately, of course, you know the room cannot take as many people as possible. Okay. But we're going to be streaming live. You know, so the link will go around. So Smart TV will be able to circulate a link, and all institutions, Ministry of Finance, Bank of Uganda, CMA, on their various social media platforms. So you can tune in online. Okay. But maybe just to conclude and say that the financial markets provide big opportunity for everybody. I'm talking about you and I, you know, individuals, to invest, because all of us want to make money, right? I'm talking about those who are trying to raise money. You know, companies can raise through issuance of corporate bonds. Local governments, government itself, the central government, etc. All these can raise money through the financial markets. We're talking about funding the tenfold growth. We need to diversify the funding sources so that while we are increasing revenue in terms of taxes, while we are increasing exports, we're also infusing capital through the financial markets. So it is a win-win situation. Please tune in on Wednesday. Let's listen to the experience of other successful markets like Nigeria. But in the meantime, let's open up CSD accounts and let's invest in the instruments that exist. And let's just wait for saving because it's coming on board very soon, and everyone will be able to invest a minimum of 10,000 using their mobile phone.
Amazing, amazing. Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Arnold. Thank you for sparing the time. We hope to have you back and some of those investors you talked about with their investor experiences.
Yes.
Thank
you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. And that's it from us today. Thank you so much for staying tuned all the way. Any content, please go back to our YouTube channel. You'll be able to catch all that you missed. My name is Anthony. I'll catch you next time. Have a good night. Bye for now.
Smart 24, drive